Greetings. Welcome to a diminishing sun satsang. I guess my talks are getting more and more popular. People are leaving by the droves. You know, I tell this story a million times, but the spiritual paths are many, the goals are many, the methods are even more. And you can start by pursuing emptiness, nothingness, becoming one with consciousness, becoming the witness, and leaving your humanity behind. Or you can start with the path of energy like Kundalini Yoga, Chi, or any other kind of practices that make your body alive, including different kinds of physical psychotherapies, listening to chanting, becoming a bhakti and worshiping somebody or something. In 1995, I had an awakening with Robert. He had just left town, Los Angeles, and gone to Sedona. And I just sat on my couch for day after day, listening to chanting. And on about 2 weeks, I had an awakening experience as to the nature of consciousness, which was like the void, spacious, containing everything, and everything in consciousness. Everything in the void. Was consciousness. And for almost 15 years after that, all I was interested in was the void. I would sit most of the day when I didn't have something to do and look inwards at the void. But after about 14 years, it seemed to be very boring because it didn't go any deeper. It was just the void. And I was looking for something else. I wanted to be alive again. I wanted to be Ed again. I wanted to be a person again. So I started practicing all over again, just as I had done many years before with self-inquiry into the I am. But this time, instead of looking for the I thought, or where the I thought came out of, or where it disappeared into, I started feeling for the I sense. And I began feeling like electrical energies inside of me. And my teachings began to change a little bit. Because now I was more interested in bliss. But the bliss wasn't there all the time. It was just there sometimes. And Robert had said to me, don't be too interested in bliss. Don't follow the bliss. Stay in consciousness. Stay in nothingness. But what happened was I was doing online satsang at that time, and maybe 15 or 20 people would come. And one person came, Janet, who lived in Indianapolis. And she finally visited Los Angeles one time and came to satsang with her girlfriend. And she was very shy. And I noticed the shyness, and I was attracted to her. She was quite pretty. And we made arrangements to spend some time together. Oh, she came back a few weeks later. And we went to the beach, because that's where I did a lot of photography. And as I was going to the beach, she handed me this iPad. And it was a poem by Rumi, and she wanted me to read it. Since then, I've recorded it. It's on my website, wearesentience.com. It's called Searching for Your Face by Rumi. And it went something like this, and this is really important because I only saw today how important it was. It said, "From the beginning of my life, I have been looking for your face, but today I have seen it. Today I have seen the charm, the beauty, and the unfathomable grace of the face that I have been looking for. Today I have found you. And those who laughed and scorned me yesterday are sorry they were not looking as I did. I am bewildered by the magnificence of your beauty and wish to see you with 100 eyes. My heart is burned with passion and has searched forever for you, this wondrous beauty I now behold. I am ashamed to call this love human and afraid of God to call it divine. Your fragrant breath, like the morning breeze, has come to the stillness of the garden. You have breathed new life into me. I have become your sunshine and also your shadow. My soul is screaming in ecstasy. Every fiber of my being is in love with you. Your effulgence has lit a fire in my heart for the earth and the sky. Your effulgence has lit a fire in my heart for me, the earth and sky. My arrow of love has arrived at the target. I am the house of mercy, and my heart is in the place of prayer. Well, when I heard it, and she said, after I read it, I wasn't much moved by it being in the emptiness and the void. But she said, that's what I think about you. That's how I feel about you. And this started a 9-year process of waking up to love and the internal energies, because this poem is right on. You have breathed a new life into me. That's how it feels. It feels that in the void, lost in the void, empty, just drifting, having no anchor, that suddenly life is breathed into me through her love of me and my love of her. Your effulgence has lit a fire in my heart. That's exactly how it feels. It's the song, "Kindle my heart's flame with thy flame. O Lord, kindle my flame with thine." It's exactly like that. The energies explode in you, in your heart. We're talking about a transformative love. It's like I was dead to the world, but she came and made me human again. And what did he say here? My soul is screaming in ecstasy. So true. I am ashamed to call this love human and afraid of God to call it divine. Well, this love starts as human, gets so intense, so ecstatic, so sweeping, it becomes divine. And when the love is this strong, the life force reveals itself to you. What Nisargadatta calls the I am, I call it the life force, reveals itself to you as the fundamental force of the universe, which one feels inside as a combination of love and energies. Now, there are many chakras inside of a person. These are kind of energy complexes, not to be confused with the nervous system. They're more subtle than the physical body. They compose the subtle body. By some counts, there are 7, some counts 13, some counts 21. Some counts there are an indefinite number of complexes throughout one's body. But for the sake of realizing the life force, the divinity in you,
carried a leash in one hand and a shovel in the other. Just in case, he said. Just in case.
And this is the root chakra in the area of the genitals. The one above that, Dahara. And the head, third eye. Can we all turn off our microphones? It's supposed to be turned off automatically. Rami. Who's Rami? I have a cat named Rami. And their microphone is on. Anyway. It's exactly like that. When you're ready, ordinary human love transmutes into divine love. And when it transmutes into divine love, the divinity is revealed in you by first discovering it in the other. You love the other with all your heart and all your soul. You just want to lie on the floor prostrated, holding their feet, worshiping their feet, worshiping their presence, because you're filled with such sublime energy. You feel touched by God, touched by an infinite grace. Touched by something that washes away all your sins, and you're totally open. You're totally empty of yourself, in total devotion and surrender to your beloved, whoever that is. And you're filled with this sublime energy. It takes many forms. Sometimes it's heavy, powerful. Other times it's light like air. All the chakras become one. One energy suffuses or pervades your entire body, your entire sense of presence, your entire feeling body. If there's any emotions there, it's love, but sometimes there's not even that. It's just energy. And it's hard to describe it. It's like an energy field within you that's unified. At first, it starts as a combination of heart-opening energy combined with sexual energy, and they go back and forth as to which is more strong. And then after a while, they become unified as one energy, just wanting that other person, just being in the same room with that other person, the same space as that other person. your Lord, your Goddess, surrendered, loving, worshiping. Well, Janet lasted 2.5 years and then went on to go to about 6 other teachers. But then I had another student come to me who was more powerful in a sense, deeper in a sense, Dia. Sitting with Dia on the golf course, I felt so hard to explain. That nothing was undone that had to be done. Everything was perfect. The world was perfect. The energies were extraordinarily strong. Locked in this energetic bond with her, sharing this energetic bond. There was nothing like it. There's no sexual feeling like it, no love feeling I'd ever felt before like it. Just one huge, delightful energy bond. And when she left here to go back home, I felt such pain like I had never felt before, not even the pain when my father died or my mother died. It's like she took my heart with her. And it turns out that this pain changed over the next days. And the pain itself led to a different and newer opening in me to even more power. But these were not ordinary relationships. These are not like the relationships I've known many, many years before, because 15 years of the void and 40 years of meditation had changed me. Allowing, when the love came, to be totally explosive, taking over my whole personality, my whole being, making it focused only on her with infinite power. And it changed, it transmuted something in me. And I want to give this to you. I want to tell you how to get it. It's not necessary to start by spending 10 or 15 years trying to get into the void. You can get it by starting with love, by starting to feel the energies inside. You can feel into the area of your heart for your sense of being alive. And sit quietly to feel the life force within you. And what begins to happen as you become aware of the energies inside of you, starting with your heart. If you do body scans and start scanning your body from your toes through your feet, ankles, legs, genitals, gut, heart, throat, third eye, brain. If you do these scans over and over, plus constantly feel into your heart center, things begin to happen in your life to take you closer to the eruptive opening in you of your heart. There's something about doing the practices of feeling the energies within and feeling for the sense of I am that makes things happen around you to speed up the process of awakening. It could be that somebody comes into your life that opens your heart. Somebody special who comes to you and loves you. Or perhaps you go looking for a love. You go looking for somebody that you think is alive and full of love. And when you find him or her, the transformation starts. The alchemy starts. Now, things will happen after that. After the explosion of the realization of your life force that comes through introspection, like I talked about, scanning your body and loving someone or something, including cats or dogs, loving totally, devotionally. Things happen around you. Things change around you. You change. The power is so great in you that manifests through you. You become like a god. You identify with the life force itself, not your puny body anymore. But you are the life force. You are the mage, the magi, the magician, the guru, the director. You no longer identify with your little body, but you identify with the life force itself, or what Robert said, called the power that knows the way. Not that there is any specific way that it knows, it just does what it's doing spontaneously. And you identify it. It is acting through you. The divine is acting through you. And as such, it's not merely you anymore, but it's the power of the life force which motivates the living things throughout the entire universe, including the perception of the universe. And the power in you burns bright. You feel it in your fingers, your hands, your arms, your legs, your heart, your head, your third eye. Everything explodes. From this point, finding the void is relatively easy. You find the emptiness within which you are exploding as the life force. And for that reason, I think this is a much more direct approach to total enlightenment, which is both knowing the void, knowing emptiness, and knowing the energies. You start by knowing the energies. This is the spirituality of our time. Now, Dee and I, 7 years ago, named this devotional Advaita because it combined both the Advaita notion of the witness and the absolute, also of nothingness. And in this is the unborn, the undying. The other half is the life force, which is temporary, transient, loving, ecstatic, fiery. with blinding energy. Now, it's safer to go to emptiness first and then practice with the life force, because you've built a container for the life force if you know the emptiness. But if you go after energies, as I'm saying you should do it immediately, they can get out of hand very quickly. I remember one student came to my house, Charlie, and in a period of about a month and a half, he went from not being able to feel any energies inside of him to being totally swamped with them all the time. But it's worth it. It's a much quicker path. It's more enjoyable, and it's not complete, but it gives you a lot of power, a lot of centeredness, a lot of breaking energy and healing energy. It can get you out of trouble and it can get you in trouble, but it's always lively. It's always fiery. It's not somber. It's not lifeless. It's interesting. And I think it's more the path of our time, where nobody has the 5 or 10 or 15 years to get to know the emptiness, unless they're suffering so much they just want to get out of the suffering by getting into emptiness. So rather than commit suicide, they practice the path of the void. I didn't know any better. Back then, when I was reading Ramana and Nisargadatta, I thought the path of nothingness was the only thing that was worthwhile, until Janet brought the life force, knowledge of the life force, recognition of the life force into my life. Now, how do you do it? Feel into yourself, in your heart area, for that spark of energy that tells you the message you are alive. Then twice a day, maybe 3 times, scan your body from your toes. Feel them tingle. Move to the foot, feel the foot tingle. Move to the calf, feel your calf tingle, and touching the chair or the floor or wherever it is. Then your thigh, then your butt, then your genitals. And that's really important to include them, because they are really necessary for most openings, because there's a lot of power in sexuality. And so many of the Hindu teachers hide the sexual aspect by talking about it in a rather abstract way, like a woman is a reflection of the life of Kali, Ma Kali, so you should worship her as Kali. That's not true. You should worship her as a woman who has Kali in her. And there should be sexual feelings in there too, because the combination of sex and heart is so strong to put them together, even if you don't have sex. Just to have those two energies unify in you, which then brings unity to all the other chakras in your system. So scan your genitals, feel them, then move up into your gut, where your power centers are. This is where your willpower is, your ability to persevere. Then to your heart, which is a gripping kind of feeling when your heart opens with somebody. When you just fall in love immediately, whether it's with a person or with a cat, or a painting, or a landscape, a breathtaking landscape. The third thing is listen to sacred music, or music that moves your soul, because it quiets the mind and makes you go deep inside. The other thing is, when you feel sad, Don't run from the sadness. Feel the sadness, because the sadness is a very deep and old feeling in you. And when you can immerse yourself in sadness, you are very close to the center of your being. Then either wait for someone to come to you to love, or actively search for someone to love, either as a teacher or a lover or a spouse or a cat, and love them. Practice loving. Love them with all your heart. Just work at it. Love like that is kind of a learning how to progressively open your heart to other people. And just practice that until you feel a sense of total worship and surrender to that person. It's not forever. It could be for a day or a week or a year. But it's a process you need to go through in order to integrate your being, balance all the energies, and to know the life force intimately. And when chanting comes, chant with all your heart and all your soul. Put all your energy into it until you can't chant anymore. You're hoarse. In everything you do, put your 100% of your effort into it. Hold back nothing. And keep looking for that energy in your heart. And when you find it, abide there in it, and it will grow rapidly over a period of weeks or months. It'll grow into your sense of presence, your energy body, which is more intimate, more real, and more powerful than your physical body or your mental body. Does anybody have any questions?
I have a question, Ed.
Yes.
Why do you usually, on the persons to love, I usually don't include your own children? Is there a specific reason for that?
It's got to be more like romantic love, because you
Okay.
have to have the sexuality into it.
Okay.
The sexuality doubles or triples the power of the combination.
Got it.
How does
Thanks.
cat help you?
I'm talking about romantic love, in other words.
Yeah, got it.
But you say cat. How does that help you for romantic love?
Well, it doesn't. But I know people that have loved their cats, their animals, so much that they've had a similar heart opening. But children it's the kind of love you have for children is so different. It's more protective than surrendered to. You need to be able to surrender to worship. And it's hard to worship your child. You protect your child. You caretake your child. You wrap your life around your child, but you don't worship them. You don't drop to their feet and kiss their feet. It's a different kind of thing. Could be a love of God, an abstract thing like that. A lot of people have awakened loving the idea of Jesus or some saint. But it's so much easier if you actually can do it physically or virtually over the internet. Are there any questions?
Okay, Ed, I don't have a question, but as usual, I would just like to sound off a little bit about where I feel I'm at, if that's okay for a minute or so.
Sure.
Okay, so a lot of what you say resonates strongly with me. And I would say that subjectively speaking, when I'm feeling good, which is like now, I strongly identify with the resonance or energy field surrounding interpenetrating my body, which often feels more substantial and more real and more vital than my physical body itself. And there's generally a bliss associated with it, as well as a flavor that I identify as my own. So similar to my personality as a human being, I realize that it colors my personality as a human being, but it's much stronger and more pure than my humanness. It's kind of like the root out of which, and it colors me, but human is limited, whereas this field is virtually unlimited in its wholeness. So what you're talking about, the void and unity and all that, is what I feel when I'm feeling this interpenetrating void, this interpenetrating energy, which to me seems more full and more real and more substantial than my physical body much of the time. It just brings a bliss and a unity to me. And I'm someone who has experienced self-esteem issues and anxiety for much of my life. So I feel that by abiding in the bliss of the void, that it's kind of helping to heal me from a lifetime of struggle with trauma and some psychological pain and that sort of thing. So I feel like I may be overdoing it a bit, but there's a reason for abiding in this field. It's replacing decades of struggle and despair at many times.
Sure. This energy field you're talking about is your future.
Yeah.
Because as it takes primary identity away from your body and your mind grows clear, your heart grows stronger, and you have such a feeling of being in control, even though you're not, because you have so much power. You identify more with the power that knows the way, the life force, which is whatever is happening. It's okay. It's yours. Which brings a different kind of peace, a peace of being the host, being the landowner, being the hotel owner and not a guest. And you go from the guest position of just being a guest in your life to being in charge, because you're the one that's doing everything, even though you're not aware of how you're doing it or what you're doing. You just realize it's you. Ananda, did you get your microphone fixed yet? Sebastian, I'm sorry we didn't get together. Are you back on reunion now? Okay, we can still talk, but it's easier for me to talk in the morning. And it's probably about 10 hours difference. 9 hours maybe?
Yep. It's 10:30 now. PM, evening time for me.
Okay, so it's 11 hours. Okay.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
perfect. It would be perfect for me.
Okay,
Thank you.
sure. Max, are you still miserable? Are you practicing? Self-inquiry and meditation? Listening to sacred music? Good misery to you. Sindri, I hope you're well.
I am.
Are you practicing?
Yes. Yes, it's different. I don't have the kind of emotional, huge swings anymore that I did, and I feel much more centered. And there's been a strong desire to be in the world again in some ways, but at the same time, that's been it's a big struggle. Everything for me is kind of around the embodiment, the physical world, my body, and my practice is really, I consider just 24 hours perspective. I've gotten so I can find that sense of I am when I'm walking around talking to people and things, but so I do a lot of that. I do actually. I live in a 4-story building with long hallways, an old mill building, and lately when I feel lost inside, I will just walk the hallways and send love and blessings to the each door as I go by them, and I go out and try to spend time with people here in the building. Sometimes I was so used to having extremely intense love and hate relationships with people that it's taking me some time to just be kind of in a middle place, and extending love and just interest. I feel very curious about people, and for a while I didn't have any of that. So it feels like I don't know. For me, I was thinking about how I've been through these different cycles of being in the void and then being in the kind of emotional ecstasies and my energetic life in many cycles. I started very much in the mystical realm as a child, and then, but because I had so much trauma and kind of no control, Zen practice was a lifesaver for me, in that it helped me to inhabit the present moment, because that was the worst place for me to be for so long. And I think I picked Sensanim, I think, because, at least with me, love was always a part of Zen practice. When you said that, Sasaki Roshi said there's no love in Zen, I didn't have that experience, partly because it's Korean, I guess, maybe because I'm a woman, I don't know. But I really took to the chanting and the raising of the heart of compassion, as Sensanim always talked about. And he always talked about the whole fabric of the universe being love. And I started to experience the lighted emptiness as that. So my sense has been for a long time that just like this presence is love itself. And aware that I've had the greatest a real ability to be in that place and a real terror of doing it. So, it's I don't know. I've experienced some of the greatest and the most terrifying that life has to offer, and there's something about the process of just experiencing all that. That's the one thing I can tell other people, is that there's nothing wrong with your life, any of it. Any of it. I had one of the great openings of my life while I was being raped. And I knew exactly what that was. Well, I described it only twice to other people, and they thought it was a defense mechanism. But I've always known it had nothing to do with the psychological life. That our true nature can burst through anywhere, anytime.
Yeah, okay.
So that's
Thank you, Indria.
where I am today.
Good for
Very
you.
good to be here with everybody. Thank you, Edgy.
You're welcome. Angela, can you tell us how you felt 3 days ago? What your experience was in generic terms? If you don't want to, you don't have to come on. Ken? Does anybody have any questions about the process of discovering the life force in themselves? How would they go about it in their specific life? Who do you look for? Yeah, Patty?
You, in your psychological background, do you feel that there are like psychological structures that might be kind of intact, that might hinder the process, that need to be like released?
That might have to be released in order to find the life force?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
And how do you suggest that, doing that?
Just doing the exercises. You can't do psychotherapy for this. You won't be able to go to a psychotherapist that will be able to handle the specific things in you that need to be open for you to have self-realization. It's seeking for self-realization itself that's going to undo whatever knots, or I even hate to think about it in terms of that, of developmental failures and the psychological structures, because you never find a psychological structure. This is an abstract way of talking about blockages to enlightenment. When you're out of your mind, that these kinds of thoughts don't even come up. It's just that you are interested in finding the life force inside of you, and that path itself, that determination itself, that energy itself will do whatever has to be done in order to bring you into enlightenment.
Yeah,
So
that's
you can't go to a psychotherapist, because psychotherapy, the therapists don't deal with this kind of impediment. They have no idea, because we're talking about something way beyond being ordinarily human, like Freud talks about. And therefore the structures aren't there. Ken Wilber talks about it, but these are just speculation on his part. It's better just to dive in and be with a teacher. Scan yourself if you don't trust teachers. Look for the sense of life in your heart. Listen to sacred music. Feel the chakras. Be quiet a lot and just feel the energies. Sometimes do it with music and sometimes do it without music. Some Western mass may make you feel the energies within yourself. Who knows? but you have to get to feel the energies. Like BJ used to be interesting. He used to shock himself with electricity. And in a sense, the energies you feel do feel similar to electricity, but instead of hurting, they feel pleasant. The energies feel pleasant, but they have an electricity-like feeling about them, but without the sharp edge of electricity.
Can I say something?
Sure.
At this moment, I feel vibratory and sort of similar to electrical sensation. That makes me feel like, oh, there is some problem with the body, because it could be a high blood pressure. That could be the reason why from head to toe, all over the body, there is a sort of vibratory thing. It's not very pleasant, as you just said. It's more like sort of electrical sensation that I used to feel when I was a child. I used to just hold the pole with two hands, and there's a high amount of electricity pouring down from the top into the earth. I used to feel that it's completely stuck. It used to be similar to that, but not that severe. I'm just wondering, trying to see whether this is this energy that I'm feeling, or is it some sort of body problem, physiological.
Well, I'm probably guessing that it is the beginning of feeling your energy body. But after a while, you'll feel variations and subtleties in the energies. You'll begin to feel a certain kind of heart energy, the light sensation, the visual sensation from the third eye, sexuality from your genitals, and they'll all become one. And when they become one, it's one unified field of coordinated energy vibrations that just give you an intense sense of love and power. But it can take some time.
So when I feel this one, you suggest just focus on that energies and be with the energy?
Yes.
Or that
Yes.
feeling?
Yes.
Because
12,
I don't know what is energy and what is not here. I just feel some sensation type.
That's it.
It could be.
That's the start.
And also I feel that pulsing in the hands and in the body.
Yes.
Too.
That's part of it.
Okay.
Sometimes it takes a long while to open up. Sometimes a very short period of time. Like Charlie, it took him maybe 5-6 weeks from not feeling anything to just being like this all the time. Angela went from no energies to a really beautiful coordination of them in 5 or 6 weeks. I mentioned it in one of the posts that she's entered the foothills of enlightenment. Are there any other questions? Stay.
Not a question, Ed, but another thing I would like to state is that this feeling of my void or my I am or whatever is getting more subtle with time. So at first it was quite obvious. As it gains in subtlety, it also is more constant. It's like on a much finer level. It's like on a quark level or something, an extremely fine level of feeling.
You're talking about the void?
Or like my feeling of my energy.
Oh, your energies, okay.
And how the energy
yes.
emanates from the cosmic energy or the earth energy, whatever it is. But I'm just saying at first it was not as constant and it was more palpable. Now it's getting increasingly more refined and subtle.
It gets that way. You can have various things. It can get more and more subtle until it becomes almost non-existent and you feel an incredible amount of peace. But if something comes up in your life, it can explode again. And hopefully it will explode again. You'll start a whole new round more intensely. and go through the cycle any number of times until you can have them at all the time, or you can learn to live without them. It's just a long process.
And it's individual, right? Like different people have different
Well, it's
configurations.
individual, but there are patterns, like having intense periods and then refinement, and then you'll find that all new kind of energy comes in. For example, after a while, you may have had heart openings or a third eye opening, and then you'll have a sexual opening where you feel sex all the time. It pervades your whole body, and you've got that hard energy going through you, and you'll learn how to combine it with the heart, with your third eye energy, with your gut energy, and they become integrated. And then you're dancing in various kinds of energies. The fields keep changing and changing and changing, and it becomes very interesting. It's like you're playing and watching a symphony all the time of various internal energies.
I feel like that's happening right now.
There you go.
The musical aspect is there, and the bliss aspect is there. And as I abide on in it, it's like I'm looking down infinite number of tunnels into the source of the bliss. If that makes any sense. Yeah, that's how it feels.
Do you see currents circulating in you?
Yes, like around me, around my body.
What about inside your body? What about inside your body?
Yeah, well, like the currents that interpenetrate my body also affect my body.
Okay.
But it extends past my body. Like my energy feels much bigger.
Do they have a color associated with them?
More a feeling. Okay. I haven't really thought about that. It's more of like a feeling sense. Bliss is part of it. There is a coloration, but I don't associate actual colors with it. I just feel the sensation. And there's movement. Yes, it's like there's floating, or there's.
Now look into your body. You should be able to see the circulation around your heart.
Okay.
And it should have colors associated with it, but you may not see it right away. Maybe just the suggestion that it's there will allow you to see it.
Sure. I'll try that and see what happens. Thanks.
Sure. Anybody else? Well, let's have 5 minutes of sitting. Then I'll leave. And then you all argue with each other. I'm trying to develop a family with various centers, various interests where you can use each other to help explore your own energies, your own heart, and do it with each other too. Get to know each other. But right now, we'll just have 5 minutes of sitting, trying to feel your heart, or your balls, integrate them, and feel the energy I'm sending out towards you. We begin.